Hello, Julia. Welcome to the World Changers in Tech digital event platform.
Hi, good to hear you.
I'm glad it worked out, and we had a really nice conversation last week trying to get our dates aligned. And I said we can just continue on with when we were talking, because I think we could have talked forever. Julia, tell us about what you do at COOLAR and what COOLAR does, and then I will ask you more. The even super exciting question of how Corona has affected you guys. But why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and COOLAR?
Yeah, so COOLAR is developing refrigerators, but special refrigerators. So they are powered with heat instead of electricity, especially for vaccine and medication cooling in remote areas. So meaning that we have another kind of cooling cycle that really doesn't need any kind of electricity. And yeah, it just runs on water and silica gel. Silica gel is a small porous glass bowl, and yeah, it's just all based on the evaporation and absorption of water. So
maybe you can actually explain that to us later when we get more to the tech side, if you like.
Yeah.
Oh, but go ahead and go ahead and tell us. Continue. I didn't want to interrupt your thought. Continue on with who you are and how you guys started COOLAR.
So yeah, in the beginning it was a bit, I would say, an engineering disease. Yeah. So I learned during my studies, I got to know the technology, and I was really excited that you can cool with heat. That was something totally new. And so I started to work on this, and yeah, after a while, also working in a company that develops really big industrial cooling machines out of it. I had the idea to bring it to, I would say, every person, because it was an industrial application. And I had the feeling that, normally where you have heat, you also need cooling. So there could be an application for everyone. And refrigerators made a lot of sense because everyone has at least one refrigerator, or I would say most of us. And so the idea came up to build a refrigerator out of this technology. And after a while developing this idea, we came across the problem of vaccine cooling in developing regions, because people there normally don't have access to electricity, and because they don't have access to electricity, they can also not cool their medicine and vaccines, and they have to be cooled between 2 and 8 degrees. And if they're not in this range, they normally they break down, or you could say they deteriorate over time. So if they get too warm, or also if they get too cold. And so there's a big problem. 75% of the vaccines in developing regions deteriorate due to insufficient cooling. And we had the feeling that we can do something about it.
Wow, but you're an engineer as a background, right?
Yeah, right. I'm industrial engineer for technical chemistry.
And so that's interesting. So you actually found that the technology is kind of what led you to how you could use it to solve a problem, rather than maybe solving the problem of vaccine or medical refrigeration. So it was like more the passion into technology led you to drive how you could use it otherwise.
Yeah, it started with the engineering disease of just having a technology that is fascinating. And then when we found the problem that was in there in the world, and I never really heard about it, then it made kind of click. So
how did you hear about it? Like when was that, and how did you hear about it?
So it was all in 2014. After finishing my master thesis, I wrote about the technical feasibility of this technology, or about the refrigerator with this technology. And after that, in that stage, it was just about the technology and the refrigerator. And after that, together with one of my colleagues, also one of my co-founders, we started to find out, you know, does anyone need this refrigerator? Is this something that the people really care about? It was kind of an alternative refrigerator in the beginning, like a green refrigerator for households. And when you when you think about this refrigerator and where it makes sense, of course, you are easily somewhere where you have a lot of heat available and you don't have any electricity so easily. And so, you know, kind of the vaccine case came across. It was, you can't get around if you really deep dive into the problems of cool down or cooling stuff somewhere where you are remote. So then the vaccine case gets so big, and then we had the feeling, there is really a problem that we could maybe solve, and this is the mission of the company, that we want to solve this problem.
Maybe we can, because I immediately want to jump into the two most important things, which is, you know, the USP of the tech, like the unique part of the technology, as well as, you know, how do vaccines and medicines work for, I think many people don't even realize that there's, you know, this cooling chain that is involved in having to get immunized, for example, and it's something you'd probably never think about if you're in a northern country, or let's say more developed country, a Western country where you just go to the doctor. Why don't we, do you want to touch upon the tech first or the problem first? They're both, yeah. So why don't well, we have time for both. So what about, so let's go to the problem first, because I find that very interesting. Can you walk us through, like, how, I mean, obviously why it's so important, you know, that I guess in developing countries, there are no supply chains, or there's a real lack of.
So so nearly every vaccine, and I would say, I think was 1 out of 10 medicines need to be cooled between 2 and 8 degrees. That's a really, you know, tough range. And even here, we always have to make sure that it is properly cooled. But of course, if you don't have electricity available and all the refrigerators need electricity, you have kind of a problem. And of course, there are some off-grid solutions available. You can do, you know, you can generate electricity with a generator, or you can also use photovoltaic systems. Mm-hmm. But as the numbers that I also mentioned before show, there's no really proper solution that really fulfills all the needs.
Did you, sorry, did you say 75%? Mm-hmm. What was that number that you said? 75%
of all the vaccines in developing regions are at some point in the cooling chain are not properly cooled.
Oh, wow.
Meaning that they either getting too hot or too cold. The problem is that even if you have a refrigerator, people tend to overcool things. Because they are afraid that it gets too warm, so they overcool things. And the problem of normal conventional refrigerators is that the evaporator that you use, they can cool down to -15, -20 degrees. So if you can easily overcool the refrigerators that are in the fridge.
So it's highly effective. So some, or they have issues keeping this range between 2 to 8.
Right. And this is because of different problems. When you look into like diesel generators, you always have to have diesel available. If you don't have diesel, the generator doesn't run, the refrigerator doesn't run, so doesn't work. And with photovoltaics, there are different kind of problems. You have photovoltaic systems that use batteries, and right. And batteries, for example, don't like hot and sandy climates. So everything that is somewhere that is really, really hot, and maybe you also have a lot of sand because it's somewhere in the desert or near, you have problems with batteries, and they break down quite easily. And normally in this logistics, it's quite hard to get a new battery. So if you go somewhere, huh?
They have to be cooled too, right? Is that the issue at hand too? Is the batteries have to be cooled themselves?
I think some of the people, they try to cool down the batteries. Yeah, they, for example, put them into the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not so good solutions, I would say, at the moment. So it could be that you have a really nice refrigerator with a really nice PV system, and then the battery breaks down, and for the next 1-2 years, you don't have a new battery. So then the fridge also doesn't work. And then there are fridge solutions that's more the state of the art that work with photovoltaics without batteries.
Mm-hmm.
So they directly drive the compressor with the PV system. But there you have the problem that sometimes the fridge is not getting cold enough, because you cannot use all the sun that comes in. You really need a really high irradiation to drive the compressor. Mm-hmm. And so even in really hot climates, so for example, we saw that in Turkana region in Kenya, it's really, really hot, dry region. The refrigerators just, are too warm. They are not in the range of 2 to 8 degrees. And so also the vaccines aren't. So yeah, it's not, there's different problems with different solutions. And we just think that it's quite easy to warm up water with sun, with a photovoltaic, with a thermal system. So we just need the sun to heat up water, and then the hot water runs the refrigerator.
So is that what you, it's an evacuated solar tube? Is that the same type of technology that you guys are using?
You mean the solar thermal system, or
the solar thermal system that you guys are using? For those that might not be familiar with the evaporation, could you like step by step kind of explain how it works?
Mm-hmm. So the solar thermal system is really just a drive, like the motor. It's not, we're just generating hot water. We could also, I would say, burn down or have a fire and heat up water with a fire. So where the hot water comes from is not really important for us. Mm-hmm. The system itself works, starting quite similar to a normal refrigerator. So you have an evaporator, and in the evaporator, the cooling fluid evaporates. And because of that, it takes the warmth out of the heat in the cooling chamber. So normally this is like different cooling fluids. In our case, it's just water. So this is also an advantage, because normally cooling fluids are either toxic or climate damaging, or harmful for the environment. We are just using water, so the water evaporates. It's a really low pressure system, and because of that, the water wants to evaporate. And then we have a chamber full of silica gel in the back. And this silica gel like soaks out the water vapor out of the evaporator, mm-hmm. and so makes a lot of space available so that more water can evaporate. And so also the cooling chamber gets colder and colder, and like the silica gel always soaks out the vapor, and we have the cooling effect that we need. And at some point, the silica gel is full with water vapor and needs to be regenerated. then the whole cooling stops. And we need the hot water that runs through the silica gel or through a heat exchanger, heats up the silica gel, and the water, it gets released again, condenses and flows back into the evaporator. So it's really just a evaporation and condensing of water, and in between there is like a soaking material.
Mm-hmm.
And that means we don't need a compressor. We just have this material that's soaking, and that also means that we just need heat instead of, for example, electricity.
So is the USP that you guys have in your technology, because you'd mentioned a lot of people I think have tried independent refrigeration or electric-free refrigeration. Is it then the material that you're using or the silica? I mean, obviously it seems like it's the whole process, but is that the engineering fever or that one thing that you guys found to be very unique for your solution?
So the silica gel is not really unique thing. I think everyone knows it because we have it in when you buy shoes, for example, or electronics, you have it in there. So the whole material itself is nothing new, and also the technology that we are using is not really new. It's 100 years old technology. But I think the combination, like we put it into a process and with all the components in there, that is quite new. So that the whole technology works completely without electricity, completely without pumps, completely just with the heat of the sun.
With the heat of the sun,
this is the new thing that we made it into such an electricity-free application.
Are you near your lab by chance?
Yeah.
Would you be able to, because I know you're on your phone, because we switched from your laptop to the phone, would you be able or wanting to, I mean, I don't know if you can, would you be able to just like give us a glimpse of what your refrigerator looks like for everyone?
I can try, yeah.
That would be cool, because now we're really interactive.
So yeah, we're working in the workshop at the moment. So for example, this is our climate chamber. So we're testing everything in there.
Oh, this is cool. Oh, there.
This is one of our refrigerators. He was on Tenerife last year.
Oh, okay, cool.
One of the new ones this is one of the new ones that we're building at the moment. Mm-hmm. We also have
drinks?
Some drinks in there. Yeah.
That's cool. Just so everyone can kind of get an idea of, you know, like how your refrigerator obviously looks like a normal refrigerator, pretty normal size, at least a decent size that people can move around. I'm assuming like logistics.
Yeah, it's you know, they're like you open it from the top. Mm-hmm. That's the normal thing for vaccines, because you don't want to lose all the cold when you open the refrigerator. But we also have one that looks like a normal household refrigerator. It has a normal household refrigerator size for a normal family. That was one of our first prototypes. But for vaccine, it makes more sense to have it, in the form of a freezer, I would say. It's not a freezer, but it is the same format.
And where are you guys testing? Like what areas and regions are you guys targeting?
Oh no.
We'll wait for the internet to catch up there. We are good.
Where are we testing or where we are aiming it for?
Or both. I mean, you're testing it there probably. What were you aiming for? What market will you guys actually like be part of?
So I would say remote regions where you need off-grid refrigerators. That is, you know, you find these regions everywhere in the world. But of course, at the moment, we're highly focusing on some African countries, for example, Kenya, where we have really good connections to. to start with. But you know, we have a lot of remote regions, even in Europe, on islands. But of course, it's more Africa, Asia, some South American countries. So, but it's different. And there are organizations that are highly focusing on, you know, building the cooling, like the cooling chain, or make them more robust, and also buying refrigerators and also like cooling boxes for this cool chain or cold chain. And we are working with these organizations and also with like ministries and countries.
Because I think maybe a lot of, we're not so aware of it, but I think it's like 1.2 billion, when I was doing the research to write it up, lack electricity, and another billion basically only have electricity for 2 hours at a time.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So there's a huge need. And obviously now that we're talking about immunization, and everyone's waiting for, you know, the next vaccine or the vaccine to come out for Corona, I think people realize even more, you know, how important vaccination is. But we're very fortunate because we're able to get them. So that's talking about how has Corona impacted you guys as a startup now in your R&D phase and needing to be in the lab? And
yeah, so now it means that nearly all of us, as you can see, are not here. So they are mainly everyone that can works in the home office. And for the workshop, we split it us in teams, in 2 teams, so that these 2 teams never are together somewhere. So we really separated each other, so that even if there is a Corona case somewhere, that not everybody is infected, or not every, so that some can still work in the workshop, because it's really important for us at the moment to get the next prototypes ready, to send them out. And of course, as you can see, it's really important to work on the cold chain to make it possible for everyone to get the vaccine that they need. And that's a big issue. So we really try to be fast. Yeah. And of course, that slows us down a bit, because it means that some days in the week, just a few of the people can be in the workshop, and the other days, the others. So, and it's also, for me, it's quite strange, because I'm the only one. I'm not really in the workshop for the whole time. I'm mainly in the office, and I'm sitting here all the time alone when I'm here. So yeah, but of course, it's not working in a different way. It's important that we really try to avoid the contacts that we can.
It must be really frustrating knowing that there's, you know, this virus that's slowing everyone down. Is exactly one of the reasons that you have COOLAR and why you want to distribute it around the world, so more people can actually have access to good healthcare. We did get a question: what happens at night or on cloudy, rainy days? Is what someone would like to know.
So we have a really good insulated system, and also a cold storage. So you can have several days without sun, and it's still cold enough for the vaccines.
Okay. And you guys are fundraising right now, right? So, I mean, one of the big parts that you are probably in charge of as a CEO is that I saw it on the webpage that you guys are looking, is that right, funds as a startup?
Yeah, for more till the end of the year, I would say, or to when we are when we are ready with the next prototype and going into the production phase. It should start in the end of the year, but you know, we'll see. Now it's a bit nobody can say if this is happening, but yeah, for that next phase, we're searching for new money to come in.
Okay. And what does the next plan look like for the next, I mean, your 2-year plan? What's your goals in the next 2 years?
So really, the next goal is to have the next prototype ready. It should be the last one with the highest climate class, meaning that we can cool vaccines in areas where you have 43 degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
And also, yeah, for the whole day, or yeah, so this is the highest climate class you can achieve for a refrigerator. So this is our goal for the next months, to show that our refrigerator can do that. Therefore, we have to do some pilot testing, for example, in Kenya, if they let us in. And yeah, after that, we really want to, we would say, optimize the prototypes and then have the certification from the WHO for the refrigerator and get the production ready. And yeah, then, you know, roll out the whole
and save lives. When you said that you're hoping that Kenya will let you in, is there like a what is that? Is that like a political thing? Is it a market thing?
No, it's a Corona thing. So at the moment, nobody is coming in, and we planned to be in Kenya end of this month. So now, but we are not. So yeah, we just have to see how it develops. Because of course, on the one hand, we don't want to put our I don't want to put my people somewhere where I don't know if it's safe or not. And also the Kenyans say we can't get some Europeans in. So, you know, and you don't know how many months that this will go.
Mm-hmm.
But without being in Kenya, we cannot install the pilot fridges in Kenya. So yeah.
Just like the rest of the world and economy, it's had to slow down, and we have to be patient, but hopefully soon. We have a question coming out of Peru, actually, asking or saying that we need simple solutions to complex problems. And I think it's a question that we reiterated before, but it says, wouldn't it be a complex solution for a complex problem? I just want to give you a chance to answer that.
Maybe you can repeat the question. I'm not.
So he's saying, because I'm also trying to, I'm not going to rephrase. He says the refrigerator, wouldn't it be a complex solution for a complex problem?
Our refrigerator?
Yeah, and I think maybe he just heard the tech part and it sounded complicated, but I just wanted to give you a chance to actually answer the question in case he came on board a little later.
Yeah, so I would say our refrigerator is the most simple refrigerator that you can have when you compare it to other refrigerators, because it's really just thermodynamics, water evaporation, water condensing. So of course, putting it into a process or a system that works is not so simple, but it's from the parts that we need and all the stuff that is in there, it's mainly metal work. Metal, bit of silica gel, and a bit of water. That's it. And the water and the silica gel is in there for 15, 20 years. You never have to put new silica gel in there or new water or something. It's just a sealed system, and that's it. It's really robust, it's really easy, and yeah, I would say it's simpler than normal refrigerators, definitely. So
that's a great answer. So I think that's the answer that he was looking for, which is the best answer you can give. And obviously, so there's a price tag on things. What is the price tag, and who are your customers going to be? So who can afford it?
So yeah, price tag is a good question. So the thing is that vacuum refrigerators are not standard refrigerators that we know that you can buy somewhere in, I don't know, Amazon or MediaMarkt or whatever. So vacuum refrigerators are always a special product, and they're quite cost intensive, even I would say the conventional ones. So we are benchmarking our refrigerators against our competitors, and they have a price of around $5,000 each. That's because of the special refrigerators, special compressors. They need the, for example, PV system and stuff like that. And we are benchmarking against that. So our refrigerator is also not cheap, but he will be in the same range. So somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. And of course, because what I said before, we have mainly metal work to do and some silica gel and water, we have the possibility to get a lot cheaper in the future. And this is what we want to achieve really, really fast, so that our refrigerators can be used everywhere else, also not in the vaccine case, but also for households and whatever you can think of. But first, as we are building everything by hand, it's quite an expensive thing, of course.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because it's basically, you guys are still small, handmade. The price tag is still a little high until obviously demand grows. You have more financial capabilities to bring down the price. Because the question here that was being posed also is like the customers, you know, rural areas, impoverished areas, they probably don't have the necessary funds always to purchase a refrigerator, an innovative refrigerator, let's put it that way. Who would the customers be that could actually purchase these things in order to then create the impact?
Yeah, so normal people don't buy vacuum refrigerators. So normally this is something that the medical system, like the Ministry for Health, for example, or also organizations like Doctors Without Borders, like the Gavi, like I don't know, all the big organizations that that are doing really good medical work in developing regions. They are the ones that also buy these refrigerators for their cold chain, because they have the projects, they have the doctors, and they also go remote and need the infrastructure then to keep the vaccines in the right range, and to also do the vaccination then. So in these organizations, they also buy they buy normal vacuum refrigerators. So what I said before, they also cost around $5,000, or that's the mean. They're way more expensive refrigerators, and they buy these refrigerators because, you know, when you have to handle vaccines, that's the most valuable good you can handle, because vaccines can be extremely expensive, and it's just a bit of, you know, what is it, 1 milliliter, it's way less, and it has a cost of sometimes high prices. And if you think about new vaccines, they're especially expensive. So there's really a lot of value in one of these refrigerators. So they're really keen in buying good equipment.
Okay, does it also for cooperation make sense to have like a big pharmaceutical company?
We are not really looking for cooperation with a big pharmaceutical company. We are more, or we have connections to the organizations that are doing the vaccination. That is more the ones that we're working with. These are also the ones that are really interested in the equipment, and they for themselves work with pharmaceutical companies that are developing and selling the vaccines, of course.
Okay, we had the question regarding the nighttime, how to keep the temperature. There's a question, how long can it keep the temperature? You mentioned the insulation, but is there like an actual time frame?
So there's a time frame that WHO says that a vacuum refrigerator should achieve, and this is 3 days. So this is something that we, of course, achieve, but we also try to make it even longer, so that even if you have in the rain season, maybe 1 week without heat, that you also have vaccines at the right range. But on the other hand, we also look for hybrid solutions. So we could, for example, because we just need warm water, so you don't need sun for that. You could also have a hybrid solution where you maybe do something with gas, or you do something with a fire that you're just that you burn down. So there could be solutions for even longer time frames. I would say more than a week or something, but WHO says 3 days. We're aiming for a week, and
Okay, well, I think we've heard quite a bit, and I know that even though things are slowing everyone down, that you guys are able to hopefully soon, get your pilot in Kenya, because as you'd mentioned, you're making the prototypes right now in the lab, right? With two different teams that are rotating.
Right.
Okay. Well, we wish you all the success, and hopefully once we also get a vaccine for corona, that'll be in one of your refrigerators. And I want to encourage everyone that was part of our discussion to join our network. We actually have a private GERMANTECH network group for anyone that wants to join in on the topic later. And I would also encourage anyone that wants to further talk to Julia, because we did have a lot of very good questions coming in from the attendees, that they can directly contact you via the webpage or LinkedIn, if that's okay. So thank you to all the attendees that were also very active in writing questions. And Julia, I want to thank you for being part, and hopefully we will see each other soon. And
I also hope that.
Stay strong and healthy during times of corona, and thanks again for your time today.
Stay healthy and stay home. Bye.
Tschüss.